Hey, I'm glad you're back. I appreciate all the love and support that I received in my first video. And I know I kind of said that I didn't want to be out in front of the camera, but I'm here. I listened to the feedback that I received from you, the audience, and also received some great feedback from a few of my YouTube mentors. And overwhelmingly, they said maybe you should stay out front for a while and get the hang of this thing and move forward. So here I am. I know it may be a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to do the best I can to bring you the very best of what I have to offer. In case you're new here and you missed it, I kind of like to design stickers and decals. So the topic of this video is how to take sketches and convert them into art ready for stickers and decals using 3 simple tools. So if you're a beginner, no worries. We're not going to be using any digital tools here. It will all be traditional tools, some of the things that you probably have around your house. So if you're ready to see my process, let's jump on over to the art table. Welcome to the art table. These are the tools I'll be using for the video. Number 2 pencil. A Papermate felt tip pen for fine lines. Sharpie marker, chisel tip, will allow us to do fine lines and thicker lines. It's also good to have a eraser on hand and a pencil sharpener to keep your pencil sharp. Here's the material I'll be drawing on. Your standard white copier paper. And I'll also be using Graphics 360 marker paper. This paper is really good when you're using ink because it won't bleed and it's semi-transparent, so it'll allow you to put something underneath and work over the top. So this is a sketch I'm going to start with. This is a sketch that my wife seems to really like for some reason. I don't know if it's just the expression on the kid's face or just the application of the pencil, but she really seems to like this drawing. So I'll take this drawing and convert it into a sticker design. To that, we're going to sharpen him up a little bit. And I'm going to start by just blocking out the character's head shape. Trying to just find angles, general shapes of the character's head. Everything's going to be loose. Because I'm just working on this copier paper. So don't want to really fall in love with anything just yet. Center line of where the eyes are going to fall, maybe a landmark for where the nose is going to go, maybe a line for the general ballpark of where the mouth is going to rest. And talked about extending the ear shape, so I'll kind of just block that in. Find the kind of where the neck's going to go. Underneath the neck's gonna go. Just kind of block it out. Just blocking things out. So after my initial block out here, I'm gonna refer back to my reference, and I feel like I need to maybe bring the jawline down a little further. So I'm gonna erase this bottom line. Extend the jaw shape down just a little bit more here. And then I'm going to start looking for the secondary angles based on my reference. So this kind of angle here for this side of the face. And remember, I was talking about how this side of the jaw and cheekbone is sitting lower than this side. So I want to make sure that in my revision that they are symmetrical. Just like that. Make that correction. Continue looking for kind of more angles and planes. I said I was going to extend the ear out. This is kind of the shape I want. Find the line for the shirt, collar of the shirt. Neck seems to be a little bit longer than my reference, but that's okay. And shoulders. So I know some of you guys are looking at this like, man, Mike, that's an ugly sketch. Yes, it's an ugly sketch, but this is really just the planning and roughing out stage. So I'm just trying to block in the angles and primary shapes that I see in the reference. So there's going to be a lot of erasing. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, kind of checking things to make sure that I'm zeroing in on kind of what the reference is dictating. So there's a lot of kind of back and forth at this stage, and it's just really just blocking in stuff. You know, you're not going to really fall in love with anything at this particular stage. It's going to look very, 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 very rough. But that's the point of a concept sketch and the rough sketch stage. You just really just trying to set up a blueprint for yourself before you get to the final kind of where you want the final line drawing to show up. Eyebrows here, bottom of the eyes here. I wanted to tweak the size of some and scale of some of the facial features, so I'm just going to kind of indicate kind of where I want the nose and where I want the eyes to be. And the lips here. So you can kind of start seeing some similarities between the rough sketch and this sketch with the changes I talked about making. So that's kind of what you have to do. You see some stray lines that you don't like, you just go in with the eraser and kind of knock those out. And then clean it up to where you want it to be and how you want it to be. Okay, so now that I have some kind of placeholder markers on my sketch, and I've roughed out kind of the ballpark of how I want my character's new kind of silhouette to be and proportions and all that kind of good stuff, is now I want to take a step back and bring some of this exaggerated kind of sketching and really exploratory, that's the better word for it, type things in my sketch back into real world anatomy. So I know that there's a lot of parallels in the face. So like the eyes are going to be sit on a line that's going to be parallel to where the nose sits and where the mouth sits, and then the chin is kind of going to follow that. So I'm gonna straighten out the bottom of the chin to kind of run parallel with the rest of the things on the face, because we know in the real world, that's a real world kind of thing that you have to adhere to. Another change that I would like to make is I really like kind of the subtle kind of lump that the character has in the front part of his cranium. So I want to try and adjust my new sketch's silhouette to kind of match more of that. So I'll erase that out, and keeping with that angle, it's going to go up, over, drop down just a little bit, and go back, and then kind of round out in the back here. So I kind of want to keep that in the new sketch that I have. Make sure that's kind of like a prominent feature. Keep that. So right now I'll consider this level 1. Level 1 is very, very, very rough sketch. You know, finding where you want the placement of anything in your drawing, like proportionally, structurally. In this case, on the character's face, you know, where I want the eyes, where I want the nose, the general size and shape, and also what I want the silhouette of the character to be. So then phase 2 is still considered rough sketch, but this is where I go in and start removing a lot of the rougher sketch lines that I have to kind of refine everything that I want to be in the final version of the rough sketch. So, you know, erase just enough to kind of still see what my initial thought was, where I left it, and then I'll come in and start really trying to fine tune what I want those shapes to be moving forward. Clean up the ear a little bit. You know, don't be afraid to use the eraser. More of a stylized ear. Not super detailed, but enough information to read as an ear. Talked about maybe putting some gauges in his ear, so let's make that lobe a little bigger. Kind of add a circle for gauge there. Start getting the shape for the nose. Start cleaning up the shape of the mouth. I found that when drawing the mouth, the line that's formed when the two lips come together give it all the kind of funky emotion it needs to have. So I usually start with that. And then circle back around to whatever shape I'm going for the bottom of the lip and the top of the lip. Like so. That. Now create these eyes. Size them up just a little bit. Really like the shape of the reference eye, so I'm going to try to stick to kind of that look. And again, it's still rough. You know, it may not be 100% what I end up with, but I'm just really trying to get in the ballpark of where I want the final kind of drawing to be. Rough cheek line is a little high. I'll drop that down a little bit, keeping it parallel with this one. So somewhere in that neighborhood is where I want to be. Okay, stepping back and looking at my rough sketch and the original sketch that I'm working from, I'm realizing that this is leaning more mature than this character. And I think part of the charm of this character is his youthful kind of appearance. So let's see what we can do to this to get it more in line to what's happening over here. I think one of the first things is that his chin seems to have a more mature kind of silhouette. So I want to shorten that up a little bit. You know, keeping the bottom of the chin so it's parallel, and changing that, it's going to give him a little bit more of that youthful plumpness and not so chiseled and mature. And another thing that I noticed is that the hairline I brought down a little too low compared to my original sketch, so I'll erase that and adjust it. Raising it up a little bit. And I'm also noticing that the distance between the hairline and top of the head seems to be a little bit shorter than it is over here. So I'll raise this up because I'm really trying to keep the essence of this character, but kind of update him and fix some of the structural issues I have over here. So I want to kind of bring this up, over, around, and down, kind of like that. And another thing I noticed is that his eyebrows sit higher over his eyes than I have them in my sketch. So I'll adjust that. And this is the beauty of this particular stage in the process. It's like you want to keep going back and forth and evaluating your reference, or if you're sketching from something in real life, something that's right in front of you from observation, you want to make sure that you always look almost more at what you're drawing than your paper, because what you're trying to capture is what you're looking at, and it's not down on your paper. So if you're spending more time looking down at your paper, you're not spending enough time observing what you're trying to capture, if that makes sense. And those are not my words. Somebody passed that on to me. One of my high school drawing instructors. He said, you got to be looking up more at what you're drawing than your paper if you really want to capture what it is you're looking at or what you're trying to create. So I'm going to move this hairline up again, like so. And see how those changes, the subtle softness in the jawline, the adjustment of the hairline is kind of gotten him back to his more youthful kind of appearance, and that's what I was shooting for. And I know that his neck is a little long, so I'll erase this all out and raise the collar of his shirt up a little more so that he's not looking all junior high schooly kind of I'm a basketball player kind of look to him. So I'm going to fatten up his collar of his shirt to kind of add to his silhouette. Add some scoops in here, push those out, go from there. So eyes, pretty good. Brow's pretty good now. This brow over here needs some refinement. Do something kind of like that. This eye, lid, smashes down on that, like so. And I like how he has the little nose that kind of goes up a little bit, like so. And there we have it. And this is kind of where we will wrap up kind of the rough portion of the sketching and move on to refinement. Now let's clean up the sketch. So we have our concept sketch, original sketch. We have the rough sketch of the new kind of design of the original sketch. We'll take a nice crisp sheet of marker paper, Graphics 360, kind of overlay it. You can see how you can see your, revised sketch underneath the blueprint. And I'll put my eraser up here to kind of keep the paper in place. And now with our number 2 pencil and a sharp tip, we'll start cleaning this up. Essentially, we're just gonna recreate the lines, follow the lines that we've laid down for ourselves, kind of nice and lightly. And creating a nice outline based on the sketch underneath. Nice and easy. Don't have to really push too hard. We just want to follow the lines that we have underneath. Nice and gentle. And there we go. So moving on to the final phase of this project, we have the original sketch idea. We have the cleaned up, revised sketch, rough sketch. We have the cleaned up line drawing on marker paper. So I will remove the rough sketch and I will lay down a nice clean piece of copier paper and lay the marker paper on top of that. This is just personal preference. I like to have a little cushion under my drawing surface. And then I'll take the Papermate felt tip pen and begin just going over the lines that I've laid out for myself. Nice and easy. Just go right over the top of these lines. So now that we have a nice outline of our concept or our character, we'll move on to adding some thickness with the Sharpie next. Thanks for sticking around with me. We're at the final step. We're going to use a Sharpie now to add some thickness and some contrast to the lines that I put down on this character. So I generally like to start by giving the overall character a thicker outline. So I'll just go around and start punching in some thicker lines with the Sharpie. Sharpies can be a little tricky because to take advantage of the tip of it, you have to really be kind of gentle and light-handed in certain areas. But that's why you can come back to the Papermate and also add some thickness here as well. And created this nice black and white graphic that I can now clean up a little bit more, but either scan it or photograph it and send it off to have a sticker made, or decal. You know, come up with a clever title, maybe Fade Me, or something to do with having a nice crisp faded haircut, and call it a day. Thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed this video and you like the content that I'm creating, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. It will help my channel grow and it'll help me bring videos to you. Click the bell notification button so YouTube will let you know the next time I post a video. Thanks.